Hey, I am super excited today. Jim Remley here with the eReal Estate Coach podcast. We've got Maria Quattrone with us today out of Philly, and she is an incredible top producer. She's got a lot of great information to share with us. I'm super excited to have her here. She's been featured in all kinds of podcasts. She's done over 150 podcasts, but she's also a great high producing agent who can teach us a lot. I was just watching an interview with her on Inman News, which is quite an honor to get on there as well. So, Maria, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you here as well. So, before we kind of talk about what you're doing today, what prompted you to get in the real estate business, and how long have you been practicing?
Yes, great question. So I've been in the industry for 19 years. And prior to this, I was in a sales account manager for a group of radio stations for 11 years. So I began my sales career about 30 years ago, professional sales career. And I started with going door to door, selling radio and TV advertising back in 1994.
Wow. So I have some friends that sell air. And that's a really interesting thing because you're really selling, kind of something that you can't touch or feel or even sometimes see. And that's a really challenging thing to sell, I think, right? It's
It
very
was
interesting.
very, very challenging. In
Yeah,
fact, I wanted to quit so many times when I started,
I
but I
bet.
just kept showing up and picking up the phone and calling people. I would be scared and I would hang up on them.
Yeah.
But then I call back. And then one, my boss was like, "Hey, why don't you just go door to door
Mhm.
and try it that way?" And that worked for me. And I just kept going. And then I gained confidence, and
Uh-huh.
then a little more confidence in knowing that I had an idea of what I was doing. But after 11 years, I wanted something else. I actually, when I entered the industry, I said I was going to be in this for 10. And I don't know why I said that or picked that, but 11 years later, a good friend of mine said, "Wow, you would be so great in real estate." And I was not really that interested at first. I didn't know that much about it.
Yeah.
And then I met with his then business partner, who was a broker at the time, and asked a lot of questions. And then, like in the next month or so, I decided to go for it. And I signed up for the next available classes, took them in a weekend while I was still working in the radio station for 3 weekends, and hit the ground running in March of 2004.
Wow. So you lived through the Great Recession. You got yourself through that, and like all of us, that was a kind of a battle. But let's talk about those early days because you're a top producer now. When you started in the industry, you had all this experience, and you kind of got through that process of thinking, I'm not going to be able to go out there and maybe go door to door, cold call people. You got through all that because you were successful in your other business. But what did you do starting in real estate? Did you apply the same tactics? Did you kind of do the same things, or did you just do it completely differently?
Now I worked at a very small company,
Hmm.
and I would go in and I would answer the phones. And if they called about a property that was sold, I would talk to them about other properties to show them. And I used my enthusiasm and humor
Hmm.
to win a lot of people over. And so I pretty much hit the ground running. I was afraid to tell people what real estate was about because I didn't want anyone to know about it.
Interesting. So a little bit of a secret agent in the beginning.
Well, I didn't want, more people to come in because I'm like, this is great. I sold radio, I was selling air.
Uh-huh.
Only had a small percentage of clients to sell to because how many people can buy radio advertising?
Right.
And everybody needs a house or an apartment or an investment property. Um, so it worked
So,
out.
so you're in Philly, which is a major metro market. You obviously have tons of competition in your market. What's differentiating you? Why do people choose Maria now as opposed to, one of the other 20,000 agents in your marketplace?
I think one of the things is that I am extremely direct and honest, and I know the market statistics, and I know where the market is going. I can see things before others. I can analyze things, the numbers, and really give sellers a clear direction of what's going on. And I'm not afraid to ruffle their feathers. I think, good, better, indifferent. At the end of the day, people respect me for the work ethic and for the honesty and integrity. And that's a big deal. And, sometimes we don't get the numbers right because, you're in the middle of a shift, but the majority of the time we do. And it's because of knowing, how to really understand the data and understand, like, if there's 13.8 months of inventory right now, in order to be the next one sold, you have to be the best price, condition, and location for that, and really been having the knowledge to explain that. Plus, we run the office as one big team. And so I don't do all the stuff. I have people who do a lot of other things. My job basically now is to make the phone ring. I'm the rainmaker, and I do take on some of the larger clients.
And so when you talk about work ethic, and I think that's a really interesting term for a lot of newer agents that get in the business that are maybe a younger generation, or that are a generation that hasn't come in and said, oh, I'm going to treat this like a job, that maybe treat it more like a hobby. What is your work ethic? I mean, are you at the office early? You working at night? Are you working weekends? Or what are you doing today?
So I think in every market, it's different of what that means, right? So today, it's really going back to the basics, going back to things that we used to do before the last 5 to 7 years, calling on expireds, reaching out to them via mail. Like, expireds and for sale by owners are the lowest hanging fruit in the marketplace. Focusing more on our database, marketing to them, sending them items of value, just really being more aggressive, making more calls. And, I basically start at 8 and go to 8:30 and go to about 7 on most days. But some nights, I go out to network. I still will go to things that are high level networking events. Like, for somebody like me, that would be, I'm a member of the Building Industry Association of Philadelphia. So I'll go where my clients are at, or where people are at that I want to meet that I haven't met. Sure. And I'm going to go to things that are, right now we have a big mayoral election coming up, which is a big deal here. So I'll be at events that revolve around that, a lot of, I would say, like, movers and shakers, but that's a good term. Good words to use for that.
A lot of networking.
So I'm not going to spend time at like a chamber event where, it's not specific. So being strategic about where I go, where I spend my time, and making connections. I still go and do these things after 19 years, even though I have a lot of connections. You have to be seen. And we didn't have that possibility during pandemic. So we went to online. With the podcast and doing Facebook Lives, and that's all great, but there's nothing better than, in person.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're talking about that, so a lot of networking and getting out there and meeting and greeting people. But when you talk about that, how much of your business is coming from your sphere of influence versus when you're talking about the low-hanging fruit of targeting for sell by owners and expireds? Is it an even mix? Is it 80-20? What does it look like for you?
Well, we generate a lot of business from our listings, so we don't buy any buyer leads. Good. Everything we do, we focus on is generating listing opportunities. And that'll come in a lot of different ways. That'll come from our database of people that raised their hand before, past clients, new business that comes in, sign calls that may turn into a listing because they're a neighbor and now they want to sell. Or online, GMB or GLS. We have a pretty good presence on Google, so we get a lot of opportunities that way. Word of mouth, a lot of referrals. Our phone rings constantly, and because we do residential and commercial, we have a lot of different things going on at the same time. So We may have some big deals in the air that we're negotiating, but we still do the small stuff as well to keep, the machine going. So it's a lot of spinning plates.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. How do you manage your time? I mean, what is it? You work by
I
schedule?
I do.
Yeah.
I work by schedule and I work by appointment only.
Hmm.
So it would be rare for somebody just to call in that I did not know at all and me to just pick up the phone because I am booked
Hmm.
all day. I may have little pockets here and there to return a phone call, but that call, if somebody does call, gets scheduled in the schedule, and I have a scheduled callback time to speak with that client or whoever or potential client. I don't like chasing people down, so it's a waste of time. But if I have if they're calling on my cell phone and they're a client I've known 15 years and do a ton of business with, I'm picking up my cell phone if I can.
Of course.
You have to, you can't do that for everybody though, because you can't have tire kickers wasting your time. So the office has a really good process of vetting people out.
Well, and I have to say I've experienced it because before our meeting, your assistant or somebody on your team reached out to me at least twice to confirm that this appointment was going to happen, that I was going to show up. Not that you were going to show up, but that I was going to show up. So
Yeah,
that's managing your time well, because if I don't show up, you've blown, an hour or two of getting ready and preparing and everything else.
exactly.
And it's amazing, I think, how many
Exactly.
agents probably don't do that simple thing, just like letting people know, hey, are we going to actually have this meeting today? So I
Yeah.
think that's
So,
interesting.
so I also think, Joe, it's not just that, it's not only time management and calendar, but it's choice management.
Mm,
Where are you going to spend your time?
yeah.
Sometimes, saying no um, is better than saying yes because of opportunity costs.
Hmm.
So sometimes can't do it
Yeah.
because that means that you're not spending time focusing on the things that, your top 3 or 5 that you need to accomplish. So, and then, how you spend your time outside of the office is also choice management, and what you're doing with that. So,
Are you personally still going after expireds, or is it your team, or you're for sell by owners?
I actually did an expired sales and marketing consult over the weekend
Uh-huh.
for the first time in a long time. So I'm emulating it for the other agents in our office so they see what's going on. And then I have real life example of what happened during that 1 hour and 5 minute call.
Hmm.
Because, the people are frustrated when you're calling expireds and you're usually having to talk them off the fence for a second because they're mad the property didn't sell.
Yeah.
Either they didn't understand the market or they weren't told it or they were stubborn at the time. And maybe they're less stubborn now, or maybe now they have a better understanding so they can make a better financial decision for what they're going to do with that property.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, the changing market for a second, because you're meeting with a lot of sellers, you're focused on listings. How are the conversations changed this year as opposed to last year? I mean, what are you focusing on in the conversations today?
I think it's important to understand what other inventory is in the market and what your competition is, because buyers are buying by eliminating houses. That's how they buy, right? Comparison shopping.
Yeah.
So you really need to be, if you want to be the next one sold, in the best possible condition, best possible price, based on location and understanding. Like, otherwise, are you going to wait for that buyer to come along if it could take a year to
Hmm.
absorb the current amount of inventory?
Right.
And being very upfront about that, very, very upfront, and letting them know, listen, in the first 21 days, we're going to know if we're on target or not. Because here's my expectation. I expect to have a minimum of 3 showings per week at minimum. Now, in some areas outside of downtown, it's still robust. There's
Hmm.
still multiple offers coming in, but it's not so much like that in the city unless it's perfect condition in the perfect location, perfectly priced, or if it's a value add property, something that you could buy to rehab and flip. That's still a pretty aggressive market for investors. They are being a little bit more careful on that. And some of the larger deals, it's more difficult for them to work. You just don't pencil it. So, and you have people, unsure and lack of confidence a little bit. So it's talking people off the ledge with that. In addition to that, it's really making buyers understand, especially first-time buyers. If you're renting, you are paying a mortgage, it's somebody else's. And even at 7%, it's better than you paying the rent. And in fact, you can do a 3-2-1 buy down where, your rate will be 7 at the end of that, but you started 4. The following year, you go to 5, and the following year, you go to 6, and then you end at 7. But in that meantime, you could refi it. The rates could drop back down. You could refi it and lock in 5 points.
Right.
So, you
And-
have to really know what your stuff, and you have to use all the tools in the toolbox. Like, there's no reason that every resale house shouldn't have a home warranty associated with it. There's no reason why you can talk to a seller about buying down that rate for the buyer or the buyer, making sure in your listing this qualifies for 3-2-1 buy down. All of them qualify for it. But if the buyer doesn't understand it,
right.
then what are you going to do?
Yeah. Right.
So you really need to know yourself. You need to be on top of it. You need to understand the inventory, where it's going, how many properties of price adjustments are happening, what percentage of them in the MLS are happening. So the sellers know what to expect. They know that if we're not getting this activity, that we're going to need to adjust, and we need to tell them up front, future pacing people for what is to come. And I think that's what makes a really great agent or broker, is making sure that the client understands the market and really what it's going to take at this point.
So when we talk about marketing of listings, or just personal marketing for yourself and your brand, what does that look like for you? Because there's a lot of top producers that are really invested and heavily in, hey, I'm marketing my brand, I'm marketing listings in a unique, different way. What does that look like for you?
So some of the things from a standpoint of marketing the brand, and we've done all different kinds of things over the years, radio advertising, billboards, TV. We focus right now more on earned media with the PR company. So, being on Channel 6 News in Philadelphia is a big deal. It's one of the largest news stations in the country.
Wow.
So focusing on, we have a scholarship program. So we have presented that to many of the TV stations, being in the Philadelphia Business Journal, the Philadelphia Inquirer, quoted in places like, Inman and Realtor.com and all these other Authority Magazine. That builds credibility. Yeah. And sellers and buyers want to work with, an organization that they believe is credible, honest, and has, a lot of good feedback, a lot of great reviews. So that's really important. And that takes a long time. I started working with them in May 1st of 2020. So it's almost 3 years. And it's something that you need to commit to long-term. And in addition to that, we do some direct mail. We also call into the database every day. We have an ISA who's calling. I send marketing emails that go out twice a week to our database. They're all not real estate based. Some are more aspirational or inspirational. Sometimes they're community, about the community, or something that we're doing, like a home buyer seminar, or, Happy Thanksgiving. We're doing our Pie Day, which we tied to an organization called Mana. So they're getting all different things. So when our agents call into our database, the people already know us. We've already created mindshare because they've seen emails and videos from me over the last, since 2019. And so even though they don't know me, when they walk in the office and I'm there, there's like, they say, I want your videos. I've seen you so many emails. And, and we post also, on social, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we have different channels on there as well. And then when people see you out and about, they've seen the stuff. They say, oh, I love your marketing. You're everywhere. You're always posting something, where I get your email campaigns. And so, you get known in the community, especially since we work with a lot of investors and developers as well. A smaller group of people, but it's a group of people that is always involved in some capacity in the real estate market, whether they're buying, selling, or holding and renting.
So you brought up several things there that are really golden nuggets, but one of the things is the idea that you are earning your advertising by getting out there and adding and giving value to these local television stations and media outlets. And I'm sure that if you're getting interviewed, that kind of we call free advertising. You just establishes you as an expert in the community. It's brilliant. But the other thing I wanted to talk about for a second.
Sarasota, but you had the red tie, right?
He's still there? Oh, Maria got.
Yeah,
There-
I'm here. Sorry.
There you go. Sorry. The other thing I was going to say along this, you brought up an ISA calling into your database. What does that look like? What do they say to your database when they're calling into your database? What kind of conversations are they having?
So it depends. Sometimes we'll send out also, we call it DOTD. It's called Deal of the Day. It's just it's what we call it. And we send out investment opportunities or commercial development opportunities. And so those will go out and he'll follow up with a call about it. Hey, I just sent this over to you. Or, we talked a few months ago, you were thinking about selling 123 Main Street, but then you put that on hold. I'm calling to check in with you on that to see if you're now ready to get the property on the market. Or, we just signed up with this site, Crexy, which is a commercial broker where we put all our commercial deals. And so now if people click on the flyers or they download the flyer or calling, these are all investors. So we just signed up, put all our listings in it. I think over the last few days, but they went in on Saturday. I think we got 150 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're all being called. So they'll be called about, hey, I saw that you downloaded a flyer on Crexy for Reese Street, and calling to see if I can give you more information about that property. And if they're like, I don't even know what property is. Okay, well, let's have a conversation. What types of things are you buying? Are you buy and hold? Are you multifamily? Are you a developer? And then set the appointment for myself or for Dara on the commercial side. And we'll have a consult with them on the phone or on Zoom or in person. And at that point also, we'll ask them, is there anything that you have that you're looking to sell? So we ask a lot of things, and then it depends. Like, I say to the agents, if the client's already bought, for example, which happens, say, okay, great. Is there anybody else who, that could use our services that's been trying to sell their house or buy a house and they haven't yet? So things like that.
So you're really putting these people, your ISAs, at the start of your funnel, and they're kind of qualifying these people and helping to maybe capture them as a client and turn them into an appointment for you guys.
Yeah. So the ones that are actually already in the database are probably like mid-funnel, towards the end of the funnel. And then the new ones, they're just, getting put in. And then it depends where they come from. Some people if they're not calling about a house, they're calling for a realtor. They're going to be ready right now. And then it's our job to get them, hopefully they get pre-approved. And we do have a mortgage brokerage company that we just opened in the last year, a little less than that, which has been, fun.
That's challenging.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
When you have,
it's been a lot of challenges, but I'm still here.
You're still doing it. So when you have a client that is closed with you, and they've now, they're your client, you close the transaction, they're now in your sphere of influence, we'll call it. What does that look like? What are they getting from you throughout, forever? Are they getting like an email newsletter, a mailing? Does it change? Are they going to events? What happens with those kind of people?
So we used to do events. We really haven't done any events since COVID. We do our annual pie day, which is something that everybody gets, invited to. And that's probably the biggest thing that we do a year, but they are always getting something from us. We have a service that we use, part of our tech stack, called Outpost Reports. So they're set up on that, and they'll get an email bi-weekly, so twice a month for that. But then they get emails that are directly from me. content that I wrote or a video that I did with a market update, or it's, you know, something going on with the community. For example, it could be around the holidays. It could be all the stuff that's happening, you know, around Christmas and in Philly, the different, you know, events that are going on, or it could be, I could just be talking about, I send out to agents motivation on Monday. So all these little things for the mindset.
Yeah.
And sometimes that goes out to consumers as well. That's directed to like just everybody in general. So they get all different things, and we do it every single week.
Wow. So they're getting touched by you
Twice a week.
twice a week. So that's, you know, 100 times a year. So definitely seeing you. Now, you brought up a couple of times that I really want to hit this point, video. So you're obviously somebody that's doing video. Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you. Are you shooting videos several times a week, twice a week? Do you have a set day you're shooting them? How do you approach it?
So ideally, I have a set date to do intentional content, but that does not always happen in the real world.
Sure.
So I can do videos on the fly. I usually don't have them uploaded in a teleprompter because I'm generally better from my mind.
Right.
But either way, if it was something in the teleprompter, I can do that. I use my phone. It's not expensive. It's free, pretty much free. Like there is a little bit of expense around it because we will send it through, upload it to Big View, send it to rev.com to get translated, and then, you know, post from there. But the video, you know, it's so much more powerful than the words on the paper, but I do think you need to mix it up. I think prior to just recently, it was a lot more video. Now we're doing more just straight text with maybe some photos in there as well to catch attention. But we're always playing with it, you know, so we're seeing what works, what doesn't work. And then, you know, we could see also who opens the email from MailChimp. So we use MailChimp.
And you put the video right in there.
Yes. And then we have follow-up costs as a part of our tech CRM. So we utilize that, and you can do some mass emails. We don't do too many of those, just in some smaller segments, like for our investors. And then we try to follow up with phone calls. We just can't call the people. It's not possible. So we do the best we can.
So coming into the changing market that we're in, what are you changing now? What's different for you right now in the market? What are you doing differently?
So for me personally, I'm just getting more involved back on the street than I was, just because I'm base of the company and I need to make sure that, you know, we have enough business coming in.
Right.
So I'm just getting more like deeper in than I have been over the last couple of years.
Love it. So in your market, what do you think is the driving force with buyers today? Are they coming because they're leaving their parents' house? They're getting new jobs in your market? Oops, that's my dog.
A lot of first-time buyers, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of first-time buyers. It's harder for people to be move-up buyers because they may be locked in at 3% and they can't afford 6.5%, 7%.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, and we're going to see that anywhere. And then the investors, you know, the investors, a lot of them still want to do deals. They still want to buy real estate. And how do they do that? And it's different for everybody because everybody has a different formula that they use. If they're buying and holding, or they're doing ground up new development or a value add, you know, buy a warehouse and they're retrofitting it for commercial or condos, or, you know, some kind of mixed use commercial and apartments. So yeah, there's always business. There's always going to be business.
That's for sure.
You know, people will self-select exiting out. So that's all part of it. I think right now it's about staying power. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to weather the storm.
How do you keep yourself positive?
Well, I talk to myself.
That's good. Positive self-talk.
But yeah, and some days it's better than others. So
Okay.
you're not gonna I can't say that it's always rosy, right? Because it's it's tough.
Mhm.
It's tough. But the sun will rise tomorrow again.
Yep. I was just having that
And
conversation with
here
my
we
team.
are today.
Yep. Grass will continue to grow, the sun will shine, tides will flow, and people will buy and sell real estate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Maria, you're a wealth of information. Our little half hour here has just flown by. Where can people find you? What do you want people to know more about you? Like if they want to connect with you or they want to send you referrals, or what else can you share with people that if they want to
Yeah,
connect?
absolutely. So my name is Maria Quattrone. My phone number is 215-607-3535. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm Sold by MQ. And a couple things. One, we are aggressively looking for great people to join our organization. When we get referrals, we report every week to our referral partner. We expect the same as well, backwards, back.
Yeah.
And we also have a scholarship program. So for anybody who's looking to get into the industry, we help them do that. And then we put them through the training so they can hit the ground running.
Love it. Love it. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. And I know all of our students are going to get some great information out of this. Thank you so much, Marina.
Thank you so much, Jim. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate you and appreciate the opportunity today.
Absolutely. Have a great day.